Okay guys, welcome back again to this Java tutorial, and this video tutorial is going to be quite a long one, and I pray as I have planned we are going to learn the whole Java in this video. Now in this video we are going to be talking about one of the most important things in any programming language. We are talking about variables. Now a variable is kind of a space whereby we need to store certain values or any other strings so that in the future we can call them or use them when we want. Now to declare a variable in Java, first of all you need to select the kind of data type that you want to use. We have types of data types in Java, a lot of them. We have int, we have again double, we have string, float, and string, is it small or okay, that is capital. Okay, so in Java string is capital, and also we have float, and we have a lot more. Okay, so these are some examples of data types that we have in Java. Okay, now to the main business, to declare a variable in Java, first of all you need the data type. You need to specify the kind of data type you want to use in declaring that variable. So in my case, let's say I want to use double to declare the variable, and double means that it can take numbers as 50.0, 51.2. okay, so I'll go ahead and introduce my double over here, which is the data type. Then after doing this, I can go ahead and name my variable. Now the name of the variable can be any name, so I'll call my variable 1. okay, it can be any other name. Okay, I can use my name or anything for the variable. But one thing you should note about variable declaration is you can't use a reserved word for that. Okay, for example, I cannot say double, then I'll call my variable class. Okay, that is not possible, because you have to note that class is a reserved word in Java. So you have to use any other name which is not a reserved word in Java. Okay, so variable 1 can be used for that, or any other name which is not a reserved word in Java. Now after giving it a name, I can assign it to a value like 100. okay, so I have double variable 1 equals 100. Now I can go ahead and use this variable 1 anytime I want to use the value 100. okay, so for example, let's go ahead and print something. If I print out so I'm trying to print out the variable, so I'll call it variable 1. okay, now let me go ahead and run this file over here, and down inside the console you see you have 100 being called over here, because we have a variable called variable 1 and we have assigned it to 100. So therefore if we print out variable 1, then that means that 100 is going to be printed out on the screen. Now I can declare a lot of variables on one line. okay, I can say double v, then I'll separate them with a comma, so double v double x and double t, okay, equals 100. Let me see if it works. Okay, so now this means that I have assigned this variable t to 100. Now let me go ahead and try printing v on the screen, and let's see what we've got. So run file once again, and you see I have an error over here. Now what this means is I have a variable over here which is v, okay, and I have x2 over here. Now to understand, let me print x2. okay, so now run file, and again that is also an error. okay, let me go ahead and print out t once again, and t for that is going to print out 100 over here. okay, so what this means is I've declared a lot of variables over here. I have a variable like I have v x and t. Okay, and I've set this equals 100, but note that this equals 100 is going to be assigned to this one. Okay, now this ones has no, they have no value. Okay, I mean the v and the x. Now I can assign them also to values like doing this way: v equals 90. Okay, and also I can say x2 equals 70. Okay, so in this case I've assigned the number v to a value, I mean the variable v to a value 90, and also the variable x to another value which is 70 over here, and t also to 100. So now if I try printing out v on the screen, let me go ahead and run this. You see that 90 will be printed in the console, because right now the variable which is v has got a value which is 90. Now hitherto it had no value, so I got an error when I was trying to print that out. Now it has a value 90, so therefore it can be printed out this way. Now I can also declare my variables this way. Instead of declaring them in one line, I can say double v equals 90, and again I can go to the next line and say double x equals 70, then again to the next line, and I'll say double t to equals 100. Okay, then I need to terminate that. Now this is also another way in declaring variables. Instead of doing all of this in one line, as we did before like this, I can go ahead and do them in that order too. Okay, so you can declare your variables in so many ways, and after that you can go ahead and call them out over here. Now I can print out any sentence or any statement I want together with the variable. So I can say system out, then print, this time around print, because I want them to be together. Okay, and I'm printing out v is 90. Okay, so I can say I scored v. Okay, that means I scored 90. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this, first of all it's going to print I scored, as we have on line 6 over here. Okay, then it will move on and say I scored 90 here, because v has been assigned to the value 90. Okay, so another thing I can do in declaring variables is I can declare a variable and not use it now, but later assign it and use it. For example, I can have a variable like this time around int, and maybe int red equals int red this. Okay, that means I have a variable called red, but red is not assigned to any value. Now let's say later in my program I want to use the variable red, then now I know the number or the value I want to store to the variable red. Okay, so I can now say red equals 100. Okay, now this time around I don't need to introduce int again. If I do that, it's an error, because the variable has been already declared on line 5 over here as integer. Okay, so if I want to use it with a value, then I'll just go and call the name and assign it to a value that I want to. I can also assign a variable to alphabets and numbers together. Okay, now with that, the data type, which is string, will help us. So I can have a string name over here, and I'll set that equals, let's say read off. Okay, then I have to terminate that over here. Now I have this variable name over here. The name of the variable is called name. Okay, then the data type is string. Okay, then that means I can put in alphabet and also even numbers. Let me try 1 2 3 over here. Okay, now later I can go ahead, try printing out system.out.print, and now let me call my name inside here like so. Okay, and now when I run this program, system is capital. Let me go ahead, run this file, and now inside the console I have read of 1 2 3 being printed out there. Okay, so string is a data type that will allow us to accept alphabet and numbers. Okay, so this is very good if you can use this when you want to assign some values to you want to assign password to a variable. You can go ahead and use the string, and that is really cool too. Now, how do I create a space between a variable and a printout that I've made? For example, let's say I have system out print over here, and now in this print I have something being printed out, like I have, then in this I have another variable being declared over here. So I'll go ahead and declare int num equals 90. Okay, so I say I have, then later I come again and print out the variable down here. Okay, so the variable is here num. Okay, so this is going to print I have, then it will print the num. And remember, the num is 90, so it's going to say I have 90. Let me go ahead and run this file, and inside the console over here I have 90 being printed or displayed over here. Okay, now I want to create a space between the have and the 90. So how will I do that? Now what I can do is I can come inside the have over here. Now white space will be allowed over here, and inside the display too is going to be allowed, not like in the previous tutorial whereby we gave a white space over here which does not affect our program. Okay, but inside the double quote over here, the white space over here will be recognized because it's also part of the statement that we are printing. Okay, so now let me go ahead and run this file once again, and as we have over here now we have a space between the 90 and the have over here, but this space over here is not affected in any way. Variables can also be overwritten. Let's say I have a variable called I'll go ahead and now I have a variable called readof. Okay, now readof is equal to 120. Okay, now later I come, maybe in the course of the program I declared another the same readof and I set it equals 80. Okay, okay, now 80. Now if I go ahead and now print the same variable which is readof to the user, now what will I see? Let me go ahead and run this file, then you know what will happen. You see that 80 will be printed or displayed to the user. Okay, this is because first of all we had a variable which the data type was integer, and that was set to a value of 120, and now we have the same variable which is set to 80. Now that means 80 has now overwritten 120. Okay, so when you go ahead and call this one, the same variable readof 80 will be displayed instead of 120. Now that we know how to store certain values to variables, then we can go ahead and do some calculations with our variables. Now if you know how to do these calculations, then kudos, you are now a programmer, because you can now start building basic applications which involves calculations. Now I have a variable over here, int number 1, and I've set number 1 equals a value like 100. I can go ahead and declare another variable, int number 2, and that will be equal to 20 over here. Okay, now to put these values together I need another variable to hold that space for the two numbers. Okay, so I'll go ahead and declare another variable, int ans, and this ans is equal to number 1 plus number 2. Okay, so number 1 plus number 2. Now let me go ahead and print out system out print, oh not prompt, print, and now I'll print the ans. Okay, now remember I have two variables, or three of them. The first variable is holding a value 100. The second variable is also holding a value which is 20. Now I have another variable which is summing up the first variable and the second variable, and that is being printed out over here. So if I go ahead and run this file, you see I have 120 being printed out on the screen, because 100 plus 20 is 120. That is 120. So that will be printed out on the screen. Now we can use another operation like division, which is the forward slash. Now this means that we are dividing 100 by 20. Okay, now let me go ahead, run this file, and that is 100 divided by 20. The answer is 5, where 5 is being printed out over here. Now this build successful can be moved to the next line by using print line over here. Okay, so when I use print line now and run the file, you see that the build will move to the next line. This means that print line moves what is next to the next line. Now the next operation that I can use is also the multiplication, which is shift and 8 on the keyboard. Go ahead, run this file, and it will multiply 120, which is 2000. Okay, I can also use the minus sign, and that means it's going to subtract the first one from the second one, which is 80 in answer. Okay, now I can go ahead and use what we call the model, which is shift and 5. Okay, now what this does is it will divide this and that, and it's going to give us the remainder, not the answer, the remainder. So let me go ahead and run this file, and we have 0 being the remainder. When you divide 120, the remainder is 0, so it's going to give 0 as the answer over there. And I think that is all you need to know about variables and operators at this juncture, and we are moving on to accepting user input from anyone who uses your program. Okay, now note that all these variables are fixed to a value, and this is not user friendly because the person using the program can't enter any value. All the values are stored to a particular variable and the operations are performed. Now we want to learn how we can build a program that will allow the person using the program enter his or her own number for calculations. Okay, now to accept user input in Java, then you need to go ahead and call a certain class from the library. Okay, so go on top of your class. I have my class read off over here. I'll just go on top of that class. I'll put the cursor there. Then I'm going to import what we call the scanner class. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll type import. Okay, so where are we importing from? We are importing from the Java library. So import Java, that means we are importing from Java library. And when you go to the Java library, there is another sub library called the util. Okay, so import Java dots. We use the dot to access them. So import Java dot util dot. The name of the class that we want is called scanner. Okay, so I'll type scanner. Okay, so import java.util.scanner. Now this scanner class will help us to accept user input from any user. Okay, now having this scanner imported, then what we need to do according to the laws of Java is to create a new instance of this class. Okay, so I'll go ahead and create that instance. Now to create the instance, we first have to start with the name of the class, and remember the name of the class is called scanner. Okay, so I'll type, remember it's a capital XS over here, so I'll type scanner, then the name of what I want to use, I mean the name of the object, so I'll say input is the object, so scanner input equals new scanner. Okay, then into bracket system dot in. Okay, then I have to terminate that, so therefore I have the instance being initiated over here, and therefore I can go ahead and accept input from any user. Okay, so let me go ahead and try accepting input from a user. Now, to accept the input from the user, I need to make the user aware. I want to make him aware or she aware that I want to accept something from the person. Okay, so I need to prompt the user by system out printing, and with this print line I'm going to say something like enter any number. Okay, now I have prompt or displayed an instruction to the user to enter a number. I need to go ahead and accept the number. Okay, so remember, any number or any value that needs to go into the program needs a place that we are going to store it. We need a variable to hold that number. So let me go ahead and declare my number int num. Now, because we are accepting input from the user, we are not going to assign this to any value. Okay, we are going to just declare the variable like this, int number. Okay, now having done this, we'll go ahead and say this number is equal to, we want to accept input, so we are going to use this object to accept the input from the scanner class. Okay, so we say equals input dot next int. Okay, and terminate that. And I have an error over here because this scanner should be inside the method. Okay, so I'll cut it and come inside it and paste it over here. Now it can be outside, but there is a way to access that one. Okay, but for now, your scanner class, initializing your scanner class, should be inside your method. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this file. So now inside the console I have enter any number, and I can go ahead and enter any number that I want. Okay, and I hit enter. I have just a little exception over here like that. Okay, now in case I want to hit enter then get a printout of the same number, then there's a way of doing that too. Now to do that, what I'll do is I'll just clear this, and I want to print out what I'll enter once again. So I'll say system out print line. Okay, now in the print line I'll say input dot next int once again. Okay, so now let me go ahead and run this again, run file and enter any number. So I'll enter 12. Now when I hit enter, it will print out 12 once again, as we are seeing over here. Okay, so this is how we can accept user input from users. Now knowing this, then we can go ahead and build a very useful calculator. Okay, so let's get started by adding another variable, int number 1 and int number 2. Okay, and I'll say enter any number. Okay, or let me say first number. So enter first number. Then I need to accept input for the first number. So to do that, I'll take input for the first number over here, which is num equals input dot next int. Okay, then I'll go ahead and again system out print line, and this is going to be enter second number. Okay, now I need to accept input for the second number too, and I'm going to use this variable for that. Okay, so I'll say num2 equals input dot next int. Okay, and I need to go ahead and terminate that. Now I have the user being able to enter a number for this variable and this variable. Now I need another variable that will do the calculation just like we did before. Okay, so I'll declare another one, ans. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll store ans to number plus number 2 like this. Now I can go ahead and print out system out, and I can do that on the same line, doesn't matter. Okay, so system out print line ans, then run file once again. Now inside the console, where is my console? Okay, now inside the console, enter first number. So let's say the first number is 20, enter second number, which is 10. Okay, so the ans is going to put together the first number and the second number and print that out. So we have 30 over here like that. Okay, now I can also go ahead and do something like print your number is, then the result. So I'll say system, as we did before, out print. Okay, and this time around your number is, okay, space over here, run again, go to the output, enter first number 20, okay, enter second number 10, so it will print your number is 30 over there. Now instead of printing your number is and coming again to print the answer on a different line, you can go ahead and do all that on the same line. Okay, but first of all, let me bring this to the top, because Java is a procedural language and it needs to do the calculation before it comes and print that out over here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take this answer away, and what I'll do is I'll join this together, which we call it concatenation. Yes, to concat the meaning, putting them together. Okay, and in Java we do that by using the plus sign over here. So I can say system out print your number is, then I'll add the answer over here. Okay, so this one will put them together as in the variable and the sentence over here. No need moving to the next line. So I'll go ahead, run file, and inside the output is still just the same, 20 and 10. Then it says your number is 30, as you are seeing over there. Okay, so that is it for I think accepting user input for now, and we are still moving on in learning Java. Now this time around we want to move on in learning the if statement. One of the most important thing in any programming language is the if statement, if else statement, and that. Now we are moving on to that, so let me go ahead and clear these ones. We don't need them, but we can still leave our scanner class over here. It's not going to worry us. Now the if statement has got this syntax. We have the if, then we have a condition in the if, then we have the body for the if. Okay, so we have the if reserved word or the keyword, then we have a condition over here, then the body for the if statement. Okay, so you see it starts over here and ends over here. It starts on line 6 and ends on line 8. That's the if statement. Okay, so now if statement, it's used to evaluate a condition, and if the condition is true, it goes ahead and print something or do something under the body or in this block. Okay, so let's try something over here. First of all, let me clear this and let me go ahead and declare a variable int readof equals 100. Okay, and what I'll say is if readof is greater than 90. Okay, so if readof is greater than 90, which it is, readof is 100 and is greater than 90. So if readof is greater than 90, then I'll print something like system out print, I'll say true. Okay, so now this if statement, what it's going to do is, first of all, it has a condition over here in its brackets. So it's going to analyze this condition. If the condition is true, it's going to print out true. Okay, now if the condition is false, then nothing will happen. So let me go ahead and run not debug. Oh no, stop debugging. Let me go and run this file. Okay, so run file, and you see we have true over here. Okay, because the condition is true. Truly, readoff which is assigned to 100 is greater than 90, so therefore it goes ahead and do whatever is inside over here. Now supposing we have a lot of codes down here, it's still going to do all this. Okay, so let me go ahead and run file, then it will print all these ones. Okay, so all codes here will be printed out or will be displayed, or all codes here will be executed if this condition is true. What if this condition is false? For example, if you change this to less than, okay, saying readoff is 100, is 100 less than 90, that is false. So let me go ahead, run this file, and now we have nothing in the console because the condition over here is false, and therefore nothing will happen in this block. Okay, it will just step out of this block and it will just end because there's nothing over here to work on. We also have the if else statement. Now the if else statement has an alternative to the if statement. Okay, now again we have a variable which equals 100, and when the condition becomes true with this variable, it prints something in its blocks. When the condition becomes false, nothing is being printed out. Now the if else, the else attached to the if, will help print something or execute some codes if the condition becomes false. So here is the syntax for that. First of all, we have if, then we have our condition in here, and after the condition is evaluated, when it turns to be true, all codes in this block will execute. Now when the condition turns to be false, then all codes in the else block will be executed. Okay, so that's the condition for the if else statement. Now let's go ahead and try that. First of all, just like before, we have the if reserved word or keyword, then our condition will come. So if readoff which is 100 is greater than 1, which it is, then it should go ahead and say something like just anything to print out. So system out print true. Okay, then I need to terminate. It's very necessary in Java. System, not system, system. Okay, now if this is true, if it is true that readoff is greater than 1, this will be executed because it's found in this block. If that becomes false, then we go ahead to this block, and in this block we are going to print another thing out. System is caps, so system out print, and this time around we are going to say false. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this file. Now you see we have true being printed out over here because the condition is true, so therefore it goes ahead and print what is in the first block. Now let's make the condition becomes false. Let's turn this to be less than. Okay, so it's readoff less than 1, which is false because readoff is 100 and readoff over here cannot be smaller than 1. Okay, so let me go ahead and run file, and inside the terminal now we have false being printed out on the screen because that is a false C statement or condition over here. So that is it for the if else statement. If it is true, it executes this block of codes. If it is false, it goes ahead, move to the next block and execute the else statement. As we are growing in Java, moving on in this course, now we know the if else statement, and what we can talk about again is the nested else if statement, or the nested else if statement. Yes, nested else if statement. Now with the nested else if statement, what it does is it allows us to test a lot of conditions or analyze a lot of conditions, and if one of them is true, then it goes ahead and do that code in that block. Okay, so for us to understand very well, still with the variable readof equals 100, let me introduce first of all my if. Okay, so if readof is equal to 10. Okay, now note the equal to over here. Now in Java, if we want to assign a value to a variable, then we use the single equal sign. But if we want to test a condition, or if we want to ask ourselves if something is the same as the other, then we use the double equal to. Okay, so what we are saying is if readof is equal to 10, that means if readof the variable has the value of 10, then it should go ahead and do this in this block. So if that is true, then it will say something like print. It will print no brackets, and it's going to print yes, it's 10. Okay, you go ahead and terminate that one. So if the variable is the same as that one declared over here, it will print this. Okay, now what we can do is we want to test or bring another condition again. Okay, so to do that, we introduce the else if. Okay, so in this case we can bring another condition over here. So else if readof is equal to 50, okay, then again we go ahead and print something like system out print. Okay, then you say something like yes, it's 50. Okay, now we can test for the last time by introducing the last else if. Okay, so else if readof is equal to 100, then we'll go ahead and say something like, let me go ahead and print on one line, it's possible, system out print line, and we say something like that's correct. I spelled that wrong, but doesn't matter. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, so this is what the program will do. First of all, we have a variable in our main method over here, and that variable, which is an integer called readof, has been assigned to 100. Okay, and now there's a test over here that if this readof is equal to 10, then it should print yes, it's 10. Okay, and if this is not the case and we want to do another testing with a condition, then we introduce the else if. Else if readof is equal to 50, then it should print yes, it's 50. Okay, else if readof is equal to 100, then it should go ahead and print that's correct. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this, and we have that's correct over here. Okay, I can change this variable again to 10. Okay, and it's going to print the if. So we have yes, it is 10 over here. Okay, so that's how the else if work. If I change this to 50 and run this file, then it's going to print yes, it's 50. Okay, so this will allow us to test a lot of conditions, and the condition that becomes true will execute the block of codes inside it. Okay, so that's how the else if statement works. You can test a lot of condition inside that one. Now with this else if, multiple of them in this program, now what if all the conditions, that is condition 1, condition 2 and condition 3, are not all correct? Let's say we have the variable being equal to 9 over here, and in this case all of these are not correct. So let me go ahead and run this file, and let's see what we've got. Okay, so nothing is happening. Okay, so for us to say something about this, if all are not correct, then what we can do is we can introduce the else. Okay, so I will go ahead and say just introduce the else over here. Okay, So if all the else if are not correct, then it should come and do the else. Always the else is the last one. So else it should come and print no condition is correct. Okay, so now let me go ahead. Now we have the variable being equal to 9 over here. The variable is set to 9. Okay, and all these conditions are wrong because this is testing if readoff is equal to 10. This is also testing if readoff equals 50, and the last one is testing if readoff equals 100. Okay, and remember readoff over here is equal to 9. So if all these are wrong, then it will move to the else over here and it will do the code inside the else. Okay, so run file, and now we have no condition is correct. That means it's doing the else over here like that. Okay, so the else is always the last option that we go for, so that if all the testing or if all the conditions are not right, then it goes ahead and do the else over there. We also have the nested if statement, the multiple if statement, and that is kind the same. It's quite the same with the else if. Okay, so again I can have if, then I'll give my condition. So if readoff is equal to 1, okay, then I'll go ahead and this time around short printing. So system out print, okay, and I'll say something like 1, okay, only 1, okay, and I can also test again with the same if. Okay, then I'll come somewhere here again with the same if. I'll say if readoff is equal to 2, okay, then this time around I will print 2. Okay, I can do this again with the same if. So if readoff is equal to 9, okay, then I need to print 9. So I'll go ahead and system out print line 9. Okay, so this is almost the same with the else if, nested else if. Okay, so this also is having a lot of conditions. First of all, it's testing if readoff is 1, then it will print this out. If readoff equals 2, it will print this one out, and if readoff equals 9, it will print that one too out. Okay, so let me run this, and I have 9 over here. Okay, and these two I can also end everything with the else. For example, readoff is now 0, and when I run this file, nothing happens. Okay, so I can end the whole thing with else once again. Else system out print line, I will say nothing. Okay, nothing. So this will execute if all these if conditions are false. Let me run this, and now I have nothing in the console like that. Okay, so that is it for the multiple if statement tool. That is also pretty cool. You can use to analyze a lot of conditions.